This is your place for all things Detroit Red Wings and all things Chicago Blackhawks. With your hosts, Jordan Linscott, David Barnhouse, Nick LePage, and Tim Stompanato. This is the Stick Blade Podcast. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Stick Blade Podcast. For those of us it's your host, Jordan Linscott, my co-hosts, Tim Stompanato, Nick LePage, and David Barnhouse. If you're going to check us out, we're a Detroit Red Wings and Chicago Blackhawks podcast. A little tongue-tied tonight.
You're just too excited.
I am excited. We talk all things Chicago Blackhawks and Detroit Red Wings, then we touch on light news around the NHL. Boys, the preseason's over. The full NHL 82-game season grind is upon us. Tomorrow's the first game of the season, I think, for both of our clubs. Fellas, it's back. Oh, like, for real, it's back.
Tomorrow night, baby.
I can't believe it. I'm so excited. I'm so stupid excited to have hockey back. Like any of it. Just give me all of it.
I just realized you guys open your season against the defending champs. That's going to be fun.
I mean, why not? I think it's really kind of the league to sort of set up an easy win for the banner raising ceremony for Colorado. That's always a hard thing to do.
It's like a home.
Do we not play until Friday, Jordan?
Yeah, we don't play till Friday.
I have to wait a whole week to watch Elmer Soderblom just wreck everyone.
I mean, technically, it's like 2.5 days because you got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I guess. But
it still feels like a week to me, Jordan. It still feels like a week.
It feels like a light year away.
Yeah, the Avalanche have like
and
a
not even a
homecoming
buzz
game
light year.
The Avs have a homecoming game for their first game.
You just find the weakest opponent and beat up on them.
Yeah. I mean, that's better than, I think when we played Pittsburgh, one of their cup, like banner raising years, we like beat them 10-1 or something stupid like that. It was the only game that we felt good about that year. Yeah, because that was the year Crawford went down with a bunch of concussions. Banner raisings. What are you going to do?
I'm just so excited, guys. Like, it's weird. This offseason has seemed so slow for the NHL. And I don't know why, because nothing really changed. It just seemed super slow this year.
The biggest change was, Johnny Hockey and Tkachuk.
Yeah. I mean, those were massive changes.
Those are like about it. Like everything else kind of stayed a little easy. Like Matt Barzal stayed where he was at.
I think also like the last 2 or 3 years, we've had weird off seasons because of COVID and like the different truncated seasons. It ended, I think, at the right time, the time it normally does. And it's starting when it normally does. So it has felt like an infinitely longer off season than it has in the past, like couple of years.
Yeah.
Fellas, let's just get right into this thing.
Giddy up.
The preseason's over. Let's talk about what we saw this preseason, because as much as I think it's going to be pretty evident the Blackhawks are probably tanking, and the Detroit Red Wings are going to try to be on the cusp this year, and we'll get into both of those bits later. Both teams, they kind of got to see what they have in the pipeline and see glimpses of that this preseason. I mean, Tim and Nick, just from the Hawks side of the podcast, what was your guys' takeaway overall from this preseason?
I like that apparently we don't score. So that's cool. We have goalies in net. That's a thing. Like all jokes aside, though, some of my biggest takeaways are a lot of our young kids, the ones that aren't actually with the team this year. This preseason was all about the future, getting to get a sense of Reichel, getting a sense of Korchinski, Samuel Savoie, even like Colton Dach looked fantastic. Getting to see Vlasic as on the number one pairing with Jones for a lot of the time. A bunch of guys that just they're gonna be in Rockford or they're gonna be in and with their CHL teams or wherever they are. That's what this was about, getting to see Arvid Soderblom shine. I really don't care about Max Domi and Andreas Athanasiou playing with like, you should score goals. That would be a thing that would be cool. But like, I don't know, Nick, maybe you picked up something else, but like for me, this was all about the future.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm 100% the same board. Like, it's a rebuilding year. I know it seems like we alternate every year, every other year about, oh, it's rebuild. Oh, we're back in. Hopefully we stay on
And
track
now it's
this year with
consistent
one-
now.
Yeah, one simple plan. Yeah, I mean, the kids look good. I know on our last episode we kind of praised
Raved about,
Korchinski, Reichel, Gutman. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited for what the future beholds. There's still a lot of time for these kids to develop, and they've showed signs of promise in their young NHL careers slash preseason NHL careers. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, takeaways from like the veterans, like we got goalies gonna go try to eat pucks, and we got Max Domi and Andreas Athanasiou forcing passes to Patrick Kane rather than shooting the puck. So we traded Kirby Doc. Now we got 2 more Kirby Docs. So this is great.
That I do want to highlight one thing. It was cool to see Luke Richardson start to map out sort of his stamp and his structure. Sounds like it's a pretty adaptive system. It's not like a strict system, but the one thing that I did notice was their penalty kill. That he's actually putting a lot of emphasis on the penalty kill. He wants an aggressive penalty kill, more focus on catching people off guard. The best defense is a good offense, like a much more aggressive and focused penalty kill than we've seen in the past. And like he's talked about his theories on everybody practices the power play. We're going to practice the penalty kill just as much as the power play. I don't know. That's kind of exciting for me.
Mhm.
And gets a glimpse of who Richardson is as a coach. So, and because this is his first foray into being an official head coach, he's got a terrible roster, but in the flip side of that coin is he's got no expectations. So yeah, that's what I've got for the Hawks for preseason.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Hawks. It's really hard to put that much into it. It's just,
Philip Bruce might make the team.
yeah, he had a rough last preseason game. But I mean, in the end, it's a season-long project. Its roster is going to be ever so fluctuating. We're going to see names in and out. We're going to see people scratched constantly throughout the season. Random people that we've never even heard of thrown in the lineup just to see what they give them a shot in the NHL, see if they fit. So that's going to be the Hawks this year. Lose hard for Bedard, and we'll see if we're one of those bottom 3 teams.
I mean, one thing I kind of want to ask you guys, I mean, you mentioned, Tim, that the Blackhawks are focusing on the penalty kill quite a bit. Like, do you think that the roster that they have, is it strong enough to play zone coverage penalty kill versus strictly man on man?
I think that actually zone coverage is probably going to be more conducive for this group than man on man. Just because there's gonna be lapses and people are going to need to cover for each other. I feel like because we played man on man, we played a very strict man on man with Colleton, and go please jump on in there.
No, they kind of went away. Like, as we all know, like the diamond / rhombus shape is traditionally the way you structure a penalty kill. But Colleton was very heavy, stand your man. Obviously the extra man out there really made no sense to stay on one specific man because the puck's gonna be flying around, moving around tape to tape. But I think the Blackhawks are gonna go more back to that, the diamond that you see, and maybe slightly someone attacks the puck carrier, but I don't think it's gonna be really like as aggressive. They're gonna be playing more smart on the penalty kill.
I also think, building on that, I think the structure of this roster is actually more conducive to seeing a successful and like having more fun creating on the penalty kill than I think we're going to see on the power play. just with the caliber of the skill sets of the people that are going to be on this team, I think offense, even on the power play, is going to be hard to come by. I think there's a lot of guys that can disrupt, a lot of guys that can get to those board battles. There's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of like that grit, that sandpaper a little bit more. Guys that maybe aren't the most skilled, but they make up for it. We see a lot more of those, like even a Colin Blackwell, I think could be good on there. Pretty much half of our team is bottom six guys that can kill penalties and play hard.
So, I mean, lose hard for Bedard kind of seems to be the thing, but I mean, if you're going to be losing hard, at least it's going to be somewhat bearable if they're playing a defense heavy system.
I mean, that's exactly it. Like, I get it. If we're losing a lot of games, like 2-1, 2-0, even like 3-1, I'm fine with it. I just don't want to see a lot of like 4 or 5, 6 goal games. Like that's going to be a little demoralizing. But like if they're keeping it tight and we're just not good, I mean, listen, when I was a defenseman playing soccer or floor hockey, could not score, but I did stop the other team from scoring. And like there's a satisfaction in that. And hopefully that's going to keep the Hawks mentally feeling good throughout the season. They're not losing by much.
It's what you call a trademark Stick Blade podcast. Little victory.
A classic little victory, and that's what I'm going to be surviving on this year.
Oh yeah. How about, I mean, let's not doom and gloom in our audience today. Jordan, David.
Tell me what
how
hope
are you
feels
guys-
like.
Yeah, how are you guys feeling for the preseason? What's your takeaways?
So I'm feeling pretty good. You know, we didn't win every game, but not expected. We played a lot of our young guys to try to see who can fill out where, because like we know who's making the roster, and then we're trying to figure out where everyone else is going to fall. And you know, today Veleno and Zadina were the 13th and 14th forwards in the practice. They were swapping in with different lines to just kind of get a feel for where they're going to fit, where they can go. Like Zadina is going to be, I think, a top 9 forward at least. Although apparently he left practice with a little bit of a hobble. I think he took a puck to the ankle. So I don't think anything serious with it, hopefully, because I think he's in line to have a pretty good year. My hope is. But the big man to talk about is the big man, Elmer Soderblom, making the team. I came out of nowhere like the last couple of years where he he's a pretty good prospect, and then he was just lighting it up in the SHL last year, and you're like, oh, maybe he might make the Griffins this year. No, just like Raymond last year, he jumped right to the front and has made the Red Wings for opening night. And it's exciting because like seeing his size in my head, I'm like, okay, he'll probably just be like a Thomas Holmstrom type guy, big body we can put in front of the net to mess with the goalie. But his hands are ridiculously good. Like the goals he scored this preseason, it's unreal for a person that's 6'8". So he's one I'm really excited about to see this year. Edvinsson going down to Grand Rapids. I think we talked about this a bit before the show. I expected it. I don't think he was going to make opening night. He had flashes where he looked pretty good, and then at times where he just, not saying he didn't look good, but he needs to cook a bit longer in the oven. He needs to warm up a bit. I think playing in the Griffins will help him get used to the American ice. But I'm not going to make my big bold prediction yet because I want Jordan to talk for a little bit about what he thinks.
All right. So first off, loved what I saw out of the Wings from preseason. Berggren looked really good. Zadina looked fucking amazing. Joe Veleno looked good. Michael Rasmussen looked good. I'm gonna commit sacrilege here, and I'm gonna say it. I don't understand how on earth the Red Wings sent Jonathan Berggren back to Grand Rapids after the preseason he just had. Meanwhile, they keep Adam Ernie on this squad. Like I
thought
get
you
Adam
liked
Ernie.
Ernie.
I do,
think-
but like Adam Ernie, I get it. He plays safe hockey. He's not creating tons of turnovers. That being said, he's probably not here when the Wings are competing again. Why are you blocking a guy like Jonathan Bergen, who was, what was it, near point per game status at the
Mhm.
AHL, from making the NHL team when he looked awesome in the
Here's-
preseason?
So here's my counter to that. I'm grumpy about Berger not making it too. Here's the deal. Adam Ernie is a fourth line player. Adam Ernie is going to be getting fourth line minutes. Bergeron should not be getting fourth line minutes. He's going to have top minutes in Grand Rapids to continue to grow and then shoot up to the Red Wings. I think Adam Ernie is a player that we're going to put on a fourth line grind type position, and that's not Bergeron. Just like how we said Zadina would not be in that position.
I was just going to chime in. It sounds like Bergeron's getting the Lucas Reichel treatment. If he's not in your top 6 or even your top 9, he's got to be getting top line minutes in Grand Rapids. And like Jordan, like you said, he's not going to be, or Adam Ernie's not going to be with this team when they're contending again. So give him fourth line minutes. Bergeron, if he can be the guy in Grand Rapids and be that first line player, involved in all situations or whatever is going to make him thrive, and he cooks there for another year and then goes up when there's maybe some space filling, maybe he's ready to not just be in the NHL, but thrive in the NHL. That's going to be more conducive than plugging away on the fourth line where Adam Ernie, that's where he's at his best at this point in his career. Like,
Yeah.
no disrespect. Like, you need competent fourth line guys that thrive in that role. But, can Michael Jordan mow his lawn? Yeah. Was he better playing basketball? Yeah. Put people in the right positions. Like, that's how I
Mhm.
look at it.
Yeah, no, it's
Speaking-
100%. It's 100%. I mean, sorry, David, real quick.
Oh, go
before-
ahead. Go ahead.
I just think it's a confidence thing too. Like, he's riding hot through the
Yeah.
preseason. Like, you want to keep him riding hot. Like, let him go dominate the AHL. It builds a ton of confidence. Like, that's what the Hawks are doing with Lucas Reichel. He dominated the AHL last year. Keep riding that confidence. When your time's up, when that top 6 role opens up, or top 9, even top 9 for the Red Wings sense.
Yeah.
When that top 9 role opens up, he's going to be coming in on all cylinders, confident as ever. And, that's half the game is playing with confidence.
I forgot something during my spiel earlier, and I'm a failure for this. Forgive me, JFV. Forgive me.
Oh,
But JFV making the team. All the haters out there not believing in the love that he gives us all with his amazing skill.
I've never seen a hater.
They're haters. They're haters. They're haters. They're out there somewhere on their little,
Not on this podcast.
they're on
But they-
Reddit somewhere.
I mean, yeah.
Are these
But
the same
JFE,
people
like,
on
I'm
Facebook
so
who are calling
excited.
for Philip Zadina to get traded after putting up 80% Corsi 4 numbers in 2
What a
back-to-back
classic
preseason
bust.
games?
Classic bust numbers.
Classic
Big
bust.
big bust. Put him with his, countryman Verana. He's just gonna bust even more. Bunch of idiots. But-
Odds.
So should I make my my big bold prediction that I hinted at earlier?
Are we making big bold predictions? Is it big
I don't
bold
know.
prediction time?
Are we already on bold
I'm-
prediction time?
I'm
We didn't
burning
even
up
get
on
to-
it right now.
We
I'm
didn't even
burning
get to
up on it.
we didn't even get to the news sector yet.
There is no news
That's
besides
not
you guys making a
true.
trade. Besides
had
you
a
guys making
big
a trade at
trade.
midnight last night.
You know what? Get your news up. Go ahead. You're sitting on all pins and needles. We'll do news. Not news.
Predictions.
Prediction. Bold prediction. Go ahead.
Oh,
Alright.
I'm all turned around. All this talk of busting and big news. Like, what are we doing?
Here we go. You ready for this?
It seems like David couldn't really keep it in. So you have to just let him go.
Let
I'm gonna
David
say it right
cook.
now. The reigning Calder Trophy winner, Moritz Seider, will be a Norris finalist this year.
That's your bold prediction. I like
We
it.
are, wow.
I'm willing to even say he could possibly win.
We'll get to the
I was gonna
awards
say,
section.
are we just jumping from big bold predictions to like trophy predictions?
We'll get to the awards. We'll get to the awards.
We had a plan, David.
Soderblom
You've
wins the
gone
Rocket
rogue.
Richard? What?
All right. Well, so since we're on bold predictions, Jordan, what do you got for the Wings this year?
Yeah, what's your big bold prediction for the Wings?
I think Zadina cracks 20 this year. I think this is the year he puts it all together and he cracks 20 goals.
Like
He
that.
looked awesome in the preseason, and it looks like when he's got stable line mates who are supporting him well, he has such better analytic numbers. And Steve Eisman said it himself that they've told Zadina over and over, keep doing little things right. Eventually the goals will come. I think the goals are coming this season.
Jordan, who do you see? You said he's going to be supported by line mates. Who's his line mates that he's
mean,
predominantly with? You think Verona?
I'd imagine it's going to be Verona, him, and Suter. And like
And then
the language
Kopp.
barrier is a real thing. So like, I think there's going to be some adjustment there where like those guys can communicate better than they might with other forwards. But I think it's not unreasonable for him to put those numbers up floating through the middle six, playing with either Andrew Kopp or P.S. Suter. Like P.S. Suter's a perfectly fine setup player, and Andrew Kopp is as well.
Other news with the Wings, because I guess we were on news too, partially, right?
It's like a
Where
half
Where
and
are
half
we,
topic.
dude? I don't know
Um,
where we're at anymore.
Nick's podcast, he talks about spit and chicklets. Red Wings head coach Derek Lalune is going to be on it tomorrow.
Ah,
Cool.
Interesting. Oh, sorry. One more piece of news real quick. Sebastian Cossa is officially playing in the Grand Rapids Griffins this year.
I'd
Which
like
is
to say
great.
you heard it here first, folks. It was gonna happen. We called it.
We called it last week.
But yeah, that's an official thing, which awesome. The Red Wings haven't had a goaltender who's made the draft +1 jump to that level in a long time.
That is
So-
really exciting.
I mean, it's a rarity in NHL wise, let alone just the Red Wings.
Jordan,
Usually,
do you think he wears the wing wheel this year at some point?
I mean, he
Mm-mm.
might get like a sample, a couple of games at the end of the season, maybe, but he's not gonna get like a true stint with the club. I think
They're
he's
not
gonna
gonna
get
they're not
sample
gonna
games and
burn
that's
his
it.
they're not gonna burn his ELC.
I mean,
I think
next
that's-
year though, if they have goalie injuries, I think they will call him up for a backup role. And I've seen people on Facebook and Reddit saying they're not going to burn a year of his entry level contract next year either. But if Steve Yzerman is serious when he says that they want to like award positions based on merit, you'll have a full season of Grand Rapids time to look at and either say, yeah, we want to try this guy as the backup, or give him some real looks at the NHL. And I think at that point next year, you might legitimately see him get a chance to play backup if injuries happen.
Yeah.
I
But
don't.
it's not this
I-
year.
I think the really conservative approach of worrying about burning a year of ELC is kind of overrated in general, anyways. Because I think the players know what you're doing. Like, if you keep them down, like, yeah, they're gonna try to screw you if you send them down for a full year for no reason. I think,
Did
and I just think like, if you do them a solid, they get closer to actual real money. They're willing to take a little bit of a pay cut to help out the organization.
wasn't there arguments with like Lucas Reichel? We burned a year of his contract last year, and people were like, "What's the story with that?" Like, there's also merits in if you get to that second contract faster before they've really peaked for certain players, you can get
Yeah.
them on a pretty affordable, reasonable bridge deal and not have to worry about that big contract yet. If you can just,
Yeah,
okay, we're going to sort of burn that year, get you going, and we can start, getting you locked in for a couple of years at a reasonable price.
I mean, you can almost kind of buy
Yeah,
UFA
100% has
years
its
at that
perks.
rate.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it all depends on the player. But go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah.
I mean, Nick, Tim, do you guys have any like bold predictions for the Blackhawks this year?
Nick, I'll let you go first because I've got a big bold prediction.
Yeah, I got a bold prediction, and I mean it's kind of a 2-for-1. I think by the end of this season, or actually not even by the end of the season, by March, Patrick Kane is going to be playing somewhere in the Eastern Conference. I'm gonna say the New York Rangers. And to go along with that, hand in hand, Jonathan Toews retires as a Blackhawk at the end of this year.
Dang.
Wow.
He just
That's-
like watching him during this preseason, he kind of looks just disinterested. His heart's not all there.
I feel the exact same way, man. Like
For both predictions?
n-
Or
well,
just Taves?
I definitely agree with the Tays prediction that he hasn't looked he hasn't looked like Tays, even healthy. Kane, if he is
Question
another
is he
Rangers,
healthy?
I will buy I will buy a Kane Rangers jersey in a heartbeat.
Oh, same here.
Yeah. Tays, like he says he's like, again, we can only take his word for it. I don't know if he'll ever be fully back.
It's like Zetterberg with his back. Like we knew it was a matter of time.
Yeah. My big bold prediction for the Hawks. I think that we finish the regular season with the second worst record and we get the 3rd overall pick.
Oh
Ooh.
God.
Who do you think's getting first worst record?
Oh, Arizona. Yeah, Arizona State's going to get the absolute
Arizona
worst
State.
record. They are abysmal.
I don't know. That home ice advantage could be pretty nuts.
Yeah, these college kids were a rowdy bunch.
Every night's gonna be dollar hot dog night.
Oh, the Phil Kessel's coming back, baby.
That's how they get him back.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think that we end up getting the 3rd overall pick, and I think that we get Fantilli.
I think Fantilli's gonna go second.
You think? I wonder if the Russian player that's predicted to go second or
Rostov.
3rd. I mean, especially if a team is thinking they can afford a couple of years, they're like that bad. Like if the Flyers get that 2nd overall pick, I think they might take a swing on the Russian kid. I don't know. I think that we get the 3rd overall. We get Fantilli. That's my big bold prediction.
Current mock
still be okay with
draft
that.
has Fantilli at 3rd on Tankathon.
I think there's a lot to factor in though. With Mitch
Depends on
Baum.
if the yeah.
It's kind of like that Pod Colson situation where he was projected to go top 3 a couple years ago, and then he slipped all the way to 10 because
People were nervous about Russian players even before the war and everything that's going on. Just with the KHL, the way that
they're
they
signed,
yeah.
they're signed to contracts. They're signed.
Yeah, it's a totally different reciprocity agreement than like even the SHL or like the Liga or anything like that. People were nervous about it before. Now, with some of the questions of like military service and like, will they even, if they want to, will they be able to get over? That is the only big question of like, will he fall? Will that guy fall? And it's a long year. I mean, Jesus, we saw Shane Wright drop to 4th. Who knows what's going to happen?
I'm crazy. I didn't realize that because I'm looking at Tankathon. I didn't realize that Predators and Sharks played 2 games in Prague.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Dominic Hasek was not pleased, and the NHL is not allowed to play any more games in
Wait,
Prague.
what?
Yeah, because Dominic Hasek made it very clear that if the NHL played games over in Prague, they were not, or in the Czech Republic, they were not allowed to have the Russian players play. Russian players are not allowed to play in the Czech Republic right now. Sounds like the NHL sort of ignored that. And Dominic Hasek did a big Twitter post where he's like, NHL is not allowed to play in Prague anymore.
Is Dominic Hasek like the president of Czech Republic now?
No.
I just didn't know.
No, he's just saying things. I love it. Like, it's wild. I love being on Twitter and just seeing wild stuff show up, like Dominic Hasek making grand
Making
decrees.
decisions.
Yeah.
Decrees for Czech Republic. He's like, no. The president's like, but I'm the president. No, you're not. Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Hasek.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. I mean, it's dumb just because, like, it's like hating someone for their political beliefs. Like, yeah, they're not involved in,
Also,
just
most
because
of
they're
these
Russian
Russian
doesn't
players
mean
don't even like. Again,
yeah, they're not like, oh yeah, like nobody loves war. Nobody loves war.
there's a reason that they're over here playing hockey and not like in the army at this current
True.
time.
I mean, then we had like the crazy rumors over the summer that like Kaprizov was being kept in Russia.
I mean,
He was
going to be
he
enlisted.
was.
Well,
That-
he was going to be enlisted, but he wasn't enlisted.
There's a lot
That
of
we know
weird
of.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Like there's that.
I mean-
What was it, a Flyers prospect?
A former Everton player, I can't remember his name, but it was on Reddit. Someone was talking about it. Who was Russian, was enlisted into the Russian military last week.
All this to say, if your team ends up getting the 5th or 6th pick, you might get one of the best players in the draft because he might fall.
He's listed on Tankathon at number 2 currently.
That's what I've always seen him at pretty consistently.
I seen
Right.
Scott Wheeler have him as low as 3, but
So speaking of teams that might be getting the 5th overall pick, let's jump into the Blackhawks like season predictions because like I think it's pretty obvious this management group is not trying to yield a cup contending team this year.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah.
again, as it's been repeated in multiple articles, coaches don't tank, players don't tank, management and front offices do tank. So like,
yeah,
they're going to make it very difficult for the players and Richardson to defy that.
I mean, Tim and Nick, like just what do you expect from this team, like record wise? And second, I mean, what are you guys even looking for this season to see? Because I mean, as much as it's going to be a tank year and you're not going to have a ton to be happy about, probably there's got to be like something that comes about from this season that if you're looking down the future at the end of the tunnel, you're looking to see something.
You're going to be watching Rockford.
yeah. No, I think that's a really good point. Essentially, Tim, like you're gonna keep an eye on these young defensemen in the end. Like that's what we kind of have hopes for right now. Especially we have open spaces for them, open roster spots for them. So really, who could take advantage of being in a bottom 2 role on the defense, or I mean, then when Reichel comes up, it's just gonna be interesting what kids, when they get a chance to go flourish in the NHL, like those little announcements during the regular season, like, oh, transaction news, Blackhawks call up so and so. It might not be Reichel, it might be some random kid from the AHL that not many people have heard of, but it's gonna be fun to watch.
Maybe
him.
Tepley gets a shot.
Yeah, like record wise, I say 23 wins, 24 wins. If that,
I would put us at 30. We still have Patrick Kane. Domi and Athanasio will figure it out. Like, again, they're wild playing with Kane right now, but like that'll all stabilize as chemistry builds and Kane tells them to not be idiots. You've still got Seth Jones. You've still got, I know Murphy's like hurt, but he'll be back in. You've got a potentially, like, for the first time in a long time, very healthy Peter Mrazek that might be ready to prove something on the back half of his career at this point. Like, you have enough people. You're not going to be a good team. Like, I do think the bottom 3 are going to be between us, Arizona State, and either the Flyers or Buffalo. But even Buffalo is starting to look good. Like, if they don't bungle development, they have a really good potential roster. I just don't think we're going to be the worst team, but we are one of the worst teams. And the problem, Jordan, like you said, a lot of the guys that you'd be watching for being like, oh, I'm seeing the future right now, they're not going to be with the Hawks this year. Like, I don't think that Reichel gets more than a couple of games, to be entirely honest, because that's not the plan. Most of the guys are in other places. I think at this point now, you're enjoying watching Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews as Hawks legends and seeing how bad, like how little we can lose by. It's not going to be a good year. You're going to watch the Hawks because you like watching hockey and you care about it. It's going to be very hard to find. If you're looking for a reason other than the passion for it, it's going to be very difficult to find that this year.
Yeah, I mean, this year is really going to test your patience and fandomship of the team. I mean, I guess last year kind of tested your fandomship of the team too. Because,
but you got to watch like Brandon Hagel rocket until the trade, and like there was always that hope that people were going to. There was a hope last year
that they'd click.
Yeah,
because you thought in the offseason in the offseason last year,
I thought it was a
you were like,
team.
they're making all these moves. You're like, wow, like I guess we're not really doing this rebuild anymore. We're a playoff team again. And then the wheels fell off.
Last year, Jonathan Toews was back.
You got Marc-Andre Fleury for nothing.
Yeah,
Had
like
just inked Seth Jones, and he was on a pretty reasonable contract.
like we had things to be excited about last year. This year, I guess I'm excited to watch Max Domi fight someone. Which
I'm excited to see.
am.
I'm excited to see that these names build up their trade value. That's all
I
I'm
mean, that's
excited about.
right. Yeah. Now the transactions you're going to be looking for are the Hawks have traded X to X for a pick.
A third
That's what you
rounder.
should be looking for.
Mhm.
And
Third or second rounder. Yes.
and hope for the best and be along for a ride. This is what separates the Fairweather fans. And even then, I'm not going to watch all the games this year, or I'll watch the first two
No.
periods probably, and then not watch the third. I'm going to try. It's just not going to be fun. I mean, Jordan, David, the year that the Red Wings were
Out in
historically
February.
bad. Yeah. What was it that kept you going?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Mickey Redmond, Ken Daniels, Chris Osgood.
And we
like,
don't have that. Yeah.
listen-
I mean,
No, like hearing those announcers like talking kept me watching. Just the very glimmer of lights when you'd see like Larkin or Bertuzzi or someone do something good, like those players, like your Kane, your Taves. We don't have our Zetterbergs or our Datsuks anymore, but we have the new guys coming up. Like when you guys had your Kane and your Taves on the rise, that's what we have. That's what we were having. And just like having hope, realizing that this was the bottom of the hill and that there's only going up from here. It's not like your Arizonas or your Buffaloes where it's like, God, when is this going to end? Like Yzerman was here. We knew he wasn't going to mess around. And so for me, it was just trusting the Yzer plan wholeheartedly and having those announcers that I've listened to for ages now, like holding my hand and walking me through it, talking me through it. For me, at least. Jordan, what about you?
I mean, for me, it was kind of like a mix of things. Like obviously, Dylan Larkin was as good as ever. Bertuzzi was as good as ever. Like you knew those guys are going to be entertaining. I think the other thing that was kind of interesting was you kind of got to watch how players like Philip Zadina handled like struggle because he was not good that year, particularly. You got to watch how Robbie Fabry was a surprise guy who kind of just came out of nowhere, a guy that we didn't expect anything from, and he looked really good.
No Perlini though. He's no Perlini.
But like seeing, towards the end of the season, Jacob Verana, the Mantha trade, like that was something that kept eyes peeled because a lot of people didn't even really know who he was when he came to Detroit. And then he's putting up goals left and right. Like it was things throughout the season that you kind of saw and were like, it's still not a good season, not fun to watch, but there are players that are fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Like the unit was not fun to watch.
I hear ya. And that's, I think if I've got one thing to say to Hawks fans, I have to hope this is the bottom. And I think this is the bottom.
Yeah, this is it. This is going to be the worst year we'll probably endure in a while.
Yeah.
But you gotta just tough it out, stick with the punches, and things for the light at the end of the tunnel will eventually come.
Trust
Eventually.
the Davison plan. Trust
Well,
the
I
Dave plan.
I mean,
Yeah,
there is
yeah,
a
we-
plan. So
yeah,
that's
we could
great.
we could transition into that. The Hawks. I mean, Jordan, you want to if you want all on the Hawks, you could. I'll cue it over to you to kind of set up.
Wait,
The trade. The
Oh,
trade.
the trade. Yeah, so the Blackhawks traded Riley Stillman for I always forget the guy's name.
Dickinson.
Jason Dickinson.
Jason
Yep.
Dickinson and a second round pick. Congratulations, good value for a guy who
The bottom pairing shutdown defenseman. I really liked Riley Stillman. But he's
was he the needle mover? No.
no, he's a great guy to have as depth and like a bottom pairing for like a competent team. And he's on a like 1.3 or 1.75, like somewhere under 2 million a year contract. Like it's a nice contract. This would, but to get a second round pick, let alone a second round pick and like a roster player, awesome. Yeah, these are the moves we should be making right now. And what's good is the roster player doesn't really move the needle, but he's a great bottom six, competent,
Mhm.
penalty killing, forward.
Yeah,
You got a
no,
second round
Yeah,
pick.
go ahead.
oh yeah, no, I mean, it's all in all, like. We had no strings attached to Riley Stillman, like that was. Kind of he was the last remaining piece from that Florida trade that we made to get Brett Connolly and Henrik Borgstrom. He was kind of just a throw-in in that trade.
And he
So
was the one that stuck around the longest.
yeah, the fact that we flipped him for a second round pick for a guy that we really had no intention, like he only stayed with the Hawks because Nikita Zadorov didn't work out.
Yeah, he was a cheaper smarter Zadorov.
Yeah, so like kudos to Davidson. Like Dickinson's he's gonna go out there, eat probably 12 minutes a night. And he's gonna be an extra body out there.
And if he's
then the
consistent, you can flip him at the deadline for a fourth, the Carl Soderberg treatment.
yeah, I mean the second round pick, that is amazing. That's an amazing return
Yeah.
on Riley Stillman. Kudos to Davidson. What a trade.
And I
Uh,
should say Davidson is doing because I'm sure there's people thinking like, okay, why? Why was that trade? Why did Vancouver make that trade? Dumping cap space. They ended up saving like 1.5 mil roughly in cap space, and they paid us the second to do that flip. And that's what Jordan, you talk about the Davidson plan. The Davidson plan right now is weaponize cap space and acquire assets. And so he knows where the team's at. He's sticking to a plan, which is more than we can say about certain regimes in the past. Again, there will be more teams that need to weaponize that need cap space, especially as guys come off long-term injury reserve, however they do it. We're gonna be there. We're one of the teams that can take on a bad contract, even with Duncan Keith's recapture penalty. We can take on a bad contract or two for compensation.
So they do what Steve Eiserman did, take on a bunch of dead contract, get a bunch of extra second and third round
Yup.
draft picks, and then eventually convert those into potential, depth guys for when your rebuild's going to be over, or use them as trade sweeteners for other players later.
Yeah, no, it's just continue to build draft stock, and especially we passed the notorious thin draft this past season. So now the next two drafts I think are rated pretty deep. So it's a win. It's a win trade. Like
Now's the time to be bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's a win trade. Can't be mad about it. So corresponding news to fill a body for Riley Stillman. Blackhawks picked up Jake Tenorti on waivers. Is that his name?
Jared Tenardi.
Jared Tenorti. Yeah, it's a defenseman.
He is a defenseman. He is a player in
That
the
plays
Plays
NHL.
hockey.
He is probably an eighth defenseman. That said, we've got a lot of injuries, and having this guy as like our seventh defenseman right now keeps an Alex Vlasic playing top line minutes in Rockford, keeps Isaac Phillips playing top line minutes in Rockford. Ian Mitchell is hurt right now. Otherwise, he's going to be back in there at some point, I'm sure. And when everybody's healthy, this guy will get waived and either get picked up by some team that needs grit and leadership and intangibles, or he'll be in Rockford being grit, leadership, and intangibles for the kids. I mean, that's the long and the short of it.
Yeah, I really had no other input in it. It was news. It's something.
It is news that happened today.
What about on the Red Wings side? I mean, that's really it for the Hawks side of news. What about before we
We
get into-
covered Bergeron not
Oh yeah,
making the team, which I feel like was your bigger, like one
Yeah,
of your bigger
Soderblom
things.
made the team. Bergen going down. Derek Lund
Moreno.
on Spit and Chicklets. Moreno making the team.
Giovanni Smith passed through waivers.
Yeah, he
Yep,
did.
Giovanni Smith is in the Griffins.
How do you feel about that?
Fine.
Do you feel about that?
I like Giovanni Smith. I think he'll pop up in the winged wheel a few times this year. but
I could see him getting traded to like a Toronto that desperately needs a little
Grit.
bit of physical. Yeah, like that physicality that needs somebody to mix it up a little.
Stillman got you guys a second. I think, Giovanni Smith could get us a second or a first. I'm just saying.
No,
He could
get
probably
Well,
get us a third or fourth though.
let's not be now, Nick. Let's not be judgy. I mean, think about the fact that Toronto acquired what was it? Nick Foligno
Mhm.
for a
For a
first
first.
and a fourth, and now he's on
And,
waivers today.
Now he's in the AHL. Oh boy.
Toronto's
Yeah.
pretty dumb with their money. So,
Yeah, but I mean, so are the Lightning, and yet they keep doing things.
No state income tax.
Ain't that something? Yeah, Toronto don't got that. Yeah, That's news.
That's it for the news.
that
It's weird, but I could actually see Detroit sending him to a team like Toronto who doesn't have cap space to work with.
because he's on a cheap contract, right?
Yeah, he's not making over $1 million.
Yeah, fantastic.
Like-
That's exactly what Toronto needs.
Like a team like Toronto could use him. I think St. Louis could use him.
The Rangers could use him, I think.
Like
they got Ryan Reeves though.
Yeah,
Flyers.
but he's also
Torch.
older.
That's
I
a
love
Torch player.
Reeves, but like, yeah, Flyers. What are they going to do about anything?
That's a
But
torch
I
player.
could- I could definitely see him going to a team that needs to dump cap space so that at the trade deadline they can make moves for other pieces they want to pick up. Like Toronto, for example, if they do look like they're going to make the playoffs this year, they can't pick anybody up. They have no cap space. Same with who is it? There's another team that's super cap strapped. Edmonton. They don't really have cap space right now either. Like you could take a cap dump from either team like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
David, what is your like opinion on what the Wings are doing this season? Because like I don't want to spoil it, but we're making the playoffs, right? Or that's the goal.
it's a bold prediction.
It's a very bold prediction because the East is so freaking strong. Like, especially our division. Like, it's a strong division. I'm going to agree with you, though. I think we squeak it out. I think we squeak in. I don't think we challenge for the cup, come anywhere near it. But I think we squeak into the playoffs and give these young guys that first taste, and they're going to be hungry for more.
You heard it here first, folks. The Detroit Red Wings are making the Stanley Cup playoffs
This is
this year.
wild.
The drought is almost over.
Hey,
And we
Jordan, how about
start
you?
anew.
I mean, well, go ahead.
What's up?
What about you? What's your predictions on the Wings this year?
I mean, I think they're making it in by like the skin of their teeth, but I think it's gonna happen. I like what they've done. They're still a far way off from being a true competitor, but I think
Here's
they're
what I
not
think.
far.
Here's what I think. It's the opposite of us scraping, trying to hold on to the playoffs when Holland was just putting
Oh, for
band-aids
sure.
putting on a sinking ship. I think we scrape in and it has the opposite effect of trying to hold on. And it's no, we're coming hard because it's going to give those young guys, your Sider, your Raymond, your Bertuzzi, your Larkin, all these guys are going to be like, no. We like that.
So
We
you think
want
your
that.
your 2008 2009 Hawks?
And Iserman's going to be like, you like that? Look at this wallet I got. I like that too. And we're going to spend. He's going to be like, oh, what are we missing? He's going to start ringing phones. Other team GMs are going to start sweating because they see who's on the other line. And we're going to be, the knock on the door. Why'd you hang up? You smoking
no,
pot?
I do think that like that's the case. Let's just move into it since we're already talking.
I mean,
about it then,
this feels like a
fellas.
very natural segue. Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Look at-
teeing it up. We're teeing it up. It's a big part of the show.
Looking at like the divisions
the
this year.
show.
Who is everybody? We're like, let's talk about who we're expecting to make the playoffs this year. And
Absolutely.
like,
It is time for too
Let me get
early,
my-
too soon bold predictions.
I mean, Jordan, it's only right. You're the host of the show, so why don't you start with the Atlantic?
all right, let me pull up the this real quick.
Buffalo,
So for with the,
Ottawa.
all right, so with the we're gonna go through each of the 4 divisions, and then we're gonna talk, or we're just gonna like mention who we think is making the playoffs for each division.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Starting
yeah.
with the Atlantic.
And am I correct that we have ranked them from division winner to
Yeah.
like sneaking in?
I
Okay.
have.
Then I have 2. I'm ready for it.
Ooh, okay. I have not, but I can do that.
I think Tampa is winning this division. They still are Tampa Bay, haven't had any major departures from their club. Toronto top heavy, but I still think that the forward pool is just good enough to get them there. They're offensive juggernaut. Defensively, some serious problems, which we talked about before. The third team getting in, the Ottawa Senators. I think it's going to happen for them this year.
Wild. You think they're 3rd in the Atlantic?
And I think Detroit's going to squeak in that 4th spot. I know it's not even just like hating on Boston. I legit think that they're going to have this weird off year, and I think Florida's going to have one too.
So you
Oh
got
my
you got
God.
Florida. You got Florida missing.
I think they could be this year's
So-
Montreal.
Do
So
me
you
a
got
favor. Jordan,
Whoa.
Jordan, just lay out really quick, recap. Who was your Atlantic? Just top to bottom.
You're
Tampa's
four.
winning, followed by Toronto. Ottawa will be 3rd, and I think Detroit squeaks in the 4th.
Okay.
I know it's
Okay.
super bold, but you know what?
God.
I'll make bolds.
I'm not
I
gonna shit
love
on
it.
it. I'm not gonna shit
All
on
right,
it.
all right. Who's next? Me or Tim or Nick?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Timmy.
Okay.
I'm not a coward. Let's do it.
You called me a coward?
So top of the Atlantic, I've got Tampa. Is just you can't not put Tampa right there right now. They're bringing in basically the exact same team.
Yep.
So Tampa, I got Toronto 2nd. So Jordan, we're already looking pretty similar here, but I also, yeah, the regular season Toronto is not a concern to me. It's playoff Toronto. My number 3, this is where we differ, my friend. I got the Florida Panthers. I think Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight are just Spencer Knight's going to have a next step. Bobrovsky's going to be a little more consistent. Barkov's phenomenal. Kachuk is going to be a big piece of that this year. They've already got a wicked defense. Like, yeah, no. I think Florida's comfortably 3rd. 4th, I'm putting Ottawa.
Okay.
I think that they've made the right moves. DeBrincat, Giroux, you've got Stützle, now Thomas Chabot, Cam Talbot, once healthy, is the best goalie they've had in years, which says more about the quality of their goaltending than Cam Talbot. But here we are. And then 5th.
Oh, you
in
got
the Atlantic.
5 from the Atlantic.
I'm not
Okay.
impressed by the Metro a lot this year. Detroit squeaks into the playoffs. I think that they are the 5th best Atlantic team, which is just enough to get them in.
Right on.
Had to. Your roster's too
No.
exciting.
That's I like it. I like it. I'll go with my Atlantic. I got Florida winning the division. I
Okay.
got Florida winning. I got Tampa in 2nd.
Okay.
I got Toronto in 3rd. And for my 4th and final team from the Atlantic Division, I got the Detroit Red Wings
Okay.
making the playoffs.
God dang it, Tim. Now you got me questioning everything because with your 5 picks. Because now I'm looking at the Metro and
Look
I'm
at
like,
the Metro.
yeah, they could do it. They could not do it.
Trust the heart of the cards, man.
Okay, Yugi. Or you're more of a Joey. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah, no, I know what I am.
Oh man. I gotta.
What do you
No,
got,
I
brother?
think there's 4 teams in the Metro that could make it. I don't think I'm gonna pick 4. So I think Tampa wins the division. I mean, like Jordan and Tim have said, they are the same team. They're still strong. I think Florida takes 2nd. So I'm doing a flip and Nick. I think Florida on paper is a stronger team than my number 3 team, and that's Toronto. And then I gotta go with my boys, my hungry boys, My
I love
Detroit
it.
Red Wings, baby.
I love it.
They're gonna get a
four on the pod.
taste. They're gonna get a taste, and they're gonna just be like, yep, this is what we want, and we're gonna keep fighting next year and the year after.
Coming back for seconds. Let's go.
So with that, should I start Metro since I ended this one?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
we'll do that.
sure.
Metro. This one's tough. As much as I like to crap on, or actually no, I'm not gonna pick them first. I'm gonna pick New York Rangers first.
Okay.
I think that team was very strong last year and just missed moving on by, small margin in the playoffs. And then I'll go with the Caps. Sorry, Caps.
Ooh.
Washington Capitals as the number 2 team. I think Carolina is my number 3 team in that division. And I think scraping it out against the other junk teams in this division, I think for my buddies Nick and Tyler, my Pittsburgh fans, I think Pittsburgh just scrapes into the playoffs in that 4th spot.
Fair.
Yeah.
100% fair.
Okay.
I guess I'll go for the Metro. I got the Rangers winning the division. I think you got the best goalie arguably in the league in between the pipes there. So I think, and then I think their offense actually turns it up a little bit. They kind of went
There's a
stale in
Patrick
the
Kane
play-
too,
Yeah. I mean, I got Patrick King going there later. So, but no, I think their offense turns it up. I think, because early last season, they struggled off the gate. Shesterkin was winning them games. And then in the playoffs, Shesterkin was winning them games. So I think their offense actually puts it all together with Minka and Aaron and everybody like that. So they're my division winner. Hurricanes in second. How could you not? I mean, they're still a great team. They lost Pacioretty, but still got a great forward squad. They got a great D squad. They're young. They're entertaining. They're fun. So Carolina in second. Third, I got Washington Capitals. I think they're the Caps. They always find a way. They tough it out. They continue their dominance, and Alex Ovechkin's chasing Gretzky, so he's just gonna light up the scoreboard. Fourth, the New Jersey Devils.
Get out of town. Are you serious?
The New Jersey Devils.
What grounds do you have?
I don't know.
You just
I
got a
think-
gut feeling?
I think Jack Hughes takes off. I think Nico Hischier has another good year. I think that they got a really good young stud team. They traded Ty Smith for who was it this offseason?
Oh, they did flip Ty Smith.
Yeah, they flipped Ty Smith to
Well,
he was in the pit. We'll get to that.
yeah,
I mean,
we'll figure that out.
they tried to upgrade their defense, so I think the Devils squeak in.
I mean, his year's on injured reserve, so we'll
For
see.
now.
For now.
For now. Yeah. I mean, I think the Devils, they have a young stud team. I think they're
Jesper
a team-
Bratt is
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, I just think they're a team that really is going to. I mean, I think Jack Hughes is a star in the making. I think this is his coming out party was last year. I think this year he just absolutely takes the league by storm. So yeah, and I got 4 teams. And I got the Penguins missing.
Before I go, I have to ask, who is the goaltender for Jersey?
Isn't it Mackenzie Blackwood?
It's Blackwood, and there's somebody else. They
me look.
picked up somebody in the offseason.
Let me look at their team.
That
on the
should be
roster.
an upgrade to Blackwood.
Vanacek. Vitek
Yeah.
Vanacek.
Yeah, all right. I
And
don't
they
hate
got-
that.
And they got Jonathan Bernier in their roster apparently. As
So he's a threat.
goaltender 3.
Not the worst. Okay. I'm excited to watch what they do. I guess I'll go since we're sort of snaking back. Metro winning the division. This should be a surprise to no one. The team that I'm going to be actually watching for excitement and not for pain this year, the New York Rangers, are going to be winning the Metro. Like you said, Nick, realistically, their firepower up front. I mean, Kreider just has to, he doesn't even have to duplicate what he did last year. He just has to be in the ballpark. Lafreniere, I think it's the year that he takes a huge step forward. We saw that step in the playoffs. I think he's going to continue. Kako, I think, is going to be more consistent. Obviously, Panarin's a hero. Their defense is solid. I think Keandre Miller's a stud, just finally in a position where he can really be a top 4 defenseman. Shesterkin's a genius. Got to be the Rangers. Number 2, Carolina Hurricanes. Too consistent and stable of a team to not. And then number 3 in the Metro, I've got Pittsburgh. I have to. I don't think that the Capitals have enough balance. I think it's going to be Ovechkin versus the world. And I think
Just the way he likes it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Pittsburgh has, if Crosby, Malkin, and Latane can be healthy, Gunsel's obviously a stud, and like Tristan Jarry's fine. I think that Pittsburgh's the only reasonable one that gets in. I cannot see anyone else in the Metro this year jumping those teams. Barring injuries to Pittsburgh. But other than that,
What happened to Carolina? Why are we all like not liking?
I just like the Rangers more than I like Carolina, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I got Carolina too. I
think we've all got Carolina too.
Oh,
That's not a
Jordan,
bad thing.
Hold on.
Yeah, hold on. Let's get.
No, I picked Washington at 2.
Oh dang. Okay, well, you're hard on the Canes. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You're the one shitting on them.
I don't know. I guess I'm just a piece of crap. I don't know.
I didn't want to say it. Jordan, go ahead.
I think Carolina's winning the division this year.
There we are.
Look strong as ever. New York's not far behind them. Again, just if Kreider looks good, if Fox stays Adam Fox,
Yeah.
if goaltending stays up, like who I can't remember. Do they trade what's his name? Georgiev?
I want to say they did, but
One other team. Hold on.
Because I'm trying to remember, did they traded him to, I think it was or no?
Yeah, because they have Yaroslav Halak as their backup
Yeah,
goalie.
Halak, and then they have
No.
Shesterkin still.
Shesterkin's on the Avalanche now.
Wait,
Who?
You mean Georgiev?
Georgiev.
Georgiev's okay.
Sorry,
I was gonna
I
say,
blacked
I
out
was
for a
pretty sure
second.
they didn't trade Shesterkin, but
Yeah.
yeah. Carolina will be first. New York is going to be second. I think Pittsburgh is going to be in. I think Pittsburgh will be in third, and then bullet protection. I think the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to take the fourth. I think Washington misses this year.
Wow.
I think the Blue Jackets, they're a year away from squeaking in. I don't hate it though. I think Johnny Gaudreau is a great addition. I like their
I
young.
completely forgot about Gaudreau. That's on me.
I think they're young. They're young kids like Kent Johnson, Cole Sillinger. I don't know. Did Kent Johnson go back to Michigan?
I want to say he did, but I don't pay attention to the
Yeah.
Columbus
Yeah,
Blue Jackets enough.
But I think they're a
I
sneaky.
hate Ohio, so I'm not going to pay attention.
They're going to be one of those teams that teeter along at the end of the year. I just had the Devils over. It was going to be the Blue Jackets next. What's shocking is we all had the Bruins missing.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I
we
think
all
this
have
is
the
finally
Bruins
the year.
missing.
Yeah,
They're
I think
getting old.
I agree. I mean, I'm on the same page. I thought I was nuts for leaving off the Bruins, but I'm like, you know what? I think Swayman really can't.
I like Swayman.
I do too. I like him, but like I think he's eventually due a regression. Like he popped off like right away, and I just think they're getting older.
I worry about their depth in both forwards and defensemen. I worry that they're going to rely too much on Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak. Like and Bergeron's at the back end. Marchand is getting on there. I just don't see.
So
Yeah.
Columbus Blue Jackets opening night roster, Kent Johnson is on it.
Okay.
Good.
I think the Blue Jackets are a year away, but I don't hate the prediction at all, Jordan. I think it could flip flop between the Devils and the Blue Jackets.
Hey, Nick, remember that if we hadn't traded Seth Jones, we probably would have both Kent Johnson and Cole Sillinger.
I try not to think about
I
it.
just wanted to remind both of those players could
Why you gotta
be
hurt
on-
yourself? Why you gotta hurt yourself like that?
Because I think that remembering is the only way to keep moving forward.
Moving on to the West.
Better to feel something than nothing, I guess.
Rather feel pain than nothing at all.
That's what they tell me. Johnny
Okay,
Cash
3
wrote a
Days
song
Grace.
about it.
Okay,
Or
3
no, he
Days
didn't. That
Grace.
was 9 Inch Nails, I think.
No, 3 days grace. 3 days
3
grace.
Days
There you
Grace.
go.
Rather feel pain than nothing at all. Pain. Ooh.
That's not
Jordan,
their song.
You know what? No, Tim, you haven't let off a division yet. Take us off to the Central.
Okay. Great. In the Central, I have Colorado.
Chicago.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously Colorado. Uh, I've got the Minnesota Wild as number two. I don't think that's unrealistic. They've got good forwards. They've got good defense. I think Kirill Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Hartman, that's a great line. Marc-Andre Fleury is going to steal you wins. I'm all for Minnesota. Number three is gonna be the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
Oh,
I hate it. I hate this. I'm
Ooh.
looking at it. Robertson. I think if Roop Hintz stays healthy, which are big question marks, I think Robertson, Pavelski is great. Even I've doubted him before. Miro Heiskanen, I know they lost Klingberg, but they've got Ottinger in goal.
They still have Radulov too, right?
Yeah, I think so. He was just injured last year. Yeah. Jamie Benn and Tyler Sagan, they're not what they were, but they're still good. I think that they're better than I don't trust the Blues. The Preds have still good defense and good goaltending, but their forwards are question marks. The rest of the division, here we are. Yeah, those are the three for me for the Central.
I'm going to piggyback off you here, Tim, because I got we're completely off, but I have three teams as well.
Okay.
I got the Avs, obviously. I mean, they're gonna run away with that
It's
division.
gotta be. That's
Uh,
silly. Yeah.
The Blues, I have the Blues. I think the Blues are just one of those teams as they're pesky. We hate the hell out of them. And they're just gonna get. I mean, you got Robert Thomas, who's a stud. You got Jordan Kyrou, who's a stud. You got Ryan O'Reilly down there. Torrey Krug. It really it all
Regretting
depends.
this.
It really all depends on how
Tarasenko.
Tarasenko, if he could continue off last year, and then we'll see what Bennington does with the full season in that. He doesn't have Huso there to really bail him out anymore.
Yeah.
And then three, I got the Predators. I think they are sneaky good. I think, Philip Forsberg's a stud. Their defense is always great. You got UC Saros between the pipes. And then I think they're just kind of going to grind it out. Duchesne had a great bounce back year last year. I think he continues it this year. Johansson kind of needs to pick it up, but I think they do. I think the Predators in a weak division, they take advantage of the Central. And I just think the Wild, they're a good team. I don't think they put up what they did last year. Especially those cap restructure penalties are going to come back to haunt them
That's
when
fair.
it comes to trying to trade for talent at the trade deadline.
So you only picking three teams each. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we both live in the Central. It's not
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I think it's weird because last year I think we had 5 from the Central and 3 from the West or Pacific, and I think it's just vice versa this year. The
Yeah.
Central got really bad.
Top heavy, very, very top heavy Central Division, and the rest of us are fighting for last.
Yeah.
Okay. You or me, Jordan?
I'll pick. So Colorado is winning the Central. I don't think there's any question marks about that. Second, I think Nashville is going to be a lot better. I think they're going to they showed flashes of what they could be last season, and I think it's not that ridiculous to say they might keep progressing. The Dallas Stars, I think, will be taking third, and then I have St. Louis at 4. Right. Am I counting that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah. St.
yeah.
Louis is going to be like 4th. They've continued to have subtractions from their roster, and I think they're continuing to get weaker, but I still think they have enough to squeak in as the 4th in that division.
Colorado first. Stanley Cup favorites too, I would say Nashville, number 2. A lot of things you guys said already. They got good goaltending, good defense. 3, I'm going to go Minnesota. My buddy had a reason to draft Kaprizov at number 2. He's going to be fine. 4. I'm going to go St. Louis over Dallas. I think St. Louis makes that 4th spot for me.
All right.
Should I start Pacific or should?
Nick is the only one that
Nick
hasn't
hasn't started
started
Yeah,
one
Nick,
yet.
Nick, yeah, Nick Star Pacific.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I will, so for the Pacific, as we know, if you're doing the math at home, I got 5 teams in the Pacific. I like the Flames in the 1 spot. I like the Flames winning I like the Flames winning the Pacific. I think they added quite a few pieces. I mean, yeah, you lost Matthew Kachuk. I think Huberdeau is still a great add. Now you extended him, so you don't have to worry about that. You got Mackenzie Weegar, who's a nice addition to the defense. And then you got Nazem Kadri. If he even is 75% of himself from last year, he's going to be great. Rasmus Anderson, Jacob Markstrom was a stud between the pipes last year. I think he continues it this year. And then you got Sutter coaching over there. So
He's
I think
back.
they're just gonna keep grinding away. I like the Flames winning the division. 2, I like at 2, I like the Oilers. I don't see how you could really rule them out. I think McDavid and Draisaitl kind of just take it over by storm. We'll see what Jack Campbell does between the pipes, but I think the Oilers are just, during the regular season, they're kind of reminiscent of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're gonna light it up in the regular season, and I mean, I know they made a run last year, but we'll see. I like the Oilers at 2. 3. Here's my shocking team at 3. The Anaheim Ducks.
Oh.
Okay.
I like the
Okay.
Anaheim Ducks this year. You got Jamie Drysdale, young stud. Trevor Zegras, amazing. Mason McTavish, hint, hint. I'll be talking about him a little bit later. I think Mason McTavish is going to have a really big year. John Gibson, he was circulating in a lot of trade rumors this past offseason. I think he's going to have an amazing year. And I think that division, a lot like the Central, like you have 5 decent teams and you got some bottom feeders. I think the Ducks are going to really take advantage of that. And I might be just buying into the hype, but who knows? 4, I got the Golden Knights. I think it's kind of hard to not put them in just with their talent they have. The goalie situation kind of worries me. They got good talent and from the blue line and up. Their goalie's kind of weak with no Robin Leonard for most of the season, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, they got a talented team. I think Phil Kessel finds his groove and puts in 25 this year. So, and then 5, I like the Vancouver Canucks. I think their team was a lot better on paper last year than the record shows. The record was really bad. I think they just really didn't click and get off to the right foot start. And I think they kind of turned it around this year. They have too much talent on that team to not make the playoffs. And I think Thatcher Demko is going to have a really solid year between the pipes there. So with Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, and
Bo Horvat.
JT
Miller.
Connor Garland, I think they have a really good year. So give me the Canucks at 5.
So, I'll go.
All right.
So my 1 and 2 are like yours, but flipped. I go Edmonton. I think, they have a strong regular season like they always do, and they take that first spot. But I think Calgary and them are very close at the end of the season. Like they're going to be neck and neck to win the division. Calgary, like you said, traded away to Chuck, but I think they improved their team by doing it because they were able to solidify a couple other pieces and make themselves even stronger without him. Number 3, I got Vegas. I mean, they're very top heavy. Their goalie is their weakest spot. But if they can outscore opponents, especially in their division, which is a little weak, so to speak, like you said, there's bottom feeder teams, especially their conference, especially. They should be able to squeak that. And then I was happy you picked them because I was wavering, but Vancouver, I think, is my 4th team because, like you said, they've got a lot of talent there. Thatcher Demko is primed to have a pretty good season. So yeah, that's my 4.
I like it.
Jordan.
I like how you did like the gesture. That's awesome.
You're above me right now, so I still got to figure out how to point at Nick.
Yeah, and my thing's not mirrored anymore. It's not. It used to be mirrored. Now it's not mirrored.
Jordan's the easy one. Up is still up.
Up is up. Down is down.
The other 2 are kitty wampus for me. So what are you gonna do? Jordan, it's all you.
All right, so I think Edmonton wins this division. the only subtraction that I think that they really had, and it's what is it? It's Duncan Keith, and then Mike Smith he's out for goaltender for them, right? Like they replaced
Which
with
is
Jack
a
Campbell,
blessing.
right?
That's an addition by subtraction.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I mean, it
definitely
is an
great.
addition by subtraction, but
Pay him to stay home. Sorry.
But yes, Jordan. Besides Duncan Keith, I think it's really just Mike Smith.
So Edmonton's got the same basic core. Draisaitl, McDavid will be awesome like always. Calgary, I think, is a good spot for second. They didn't get noticeably weaker, and like David was saying, they kind of short of a couple spots that they needed to fill. I think that Vegas is going to take third. I think them missing the playoffs is going to finally light up like a fire underneath some of the players there. I think it was kind of just a given for a while that Vegas just makes it. I think it gives them like a reality check that, hey, you're not just owed a playoff spot. And I'm right there with you, Nick. I think Anaheim might be making the playoffs this year. I'm taking them at fourth.
Ducks fly together, baby.
Yeah, I like what they've done this offseason.
Yeah.
They were
telling them.
they and Vancouver were fighting it out for that last spot for me.
That's fair. All right. Winning the division, I got Calgary. They've got a stupid good top four now that you've added Mackenzie Weegar to Noah Hanfin and Rasmus Anderson, and I forget who's their other like top four defenseman.
Oliver
like,
Kylington.
Great. Yeah, that's perfect. Markstrom, I think, is still in a really good spot as goalie. They've got a solid top six. And again, I like their depth. All in all, they might not have that one star that puts them over the edge, but they've got a slew of people that are borderline all-star caliber that can rise up, and it's just a good complementary team, and Daryl Sutter thrives on that kind of play. Second, I got Edmonton. I mean, it's irresponsible to not. Again, they're like Toronto. Regular season at this point, I have no worries. It's just come playoffs, Connor McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be run so ragged. Will they still be ready to go healthy, 100% ready to go for playoffs? Otherwise, they need other people to step up. I still really like Zach Hyman. I think he was a really good addition to them. And they've got the best goalie they've had in years. Jack Campbell, like, that is the best goalie that Edmonton has had. It's sort of like Ottawa. It says more about Edmonton's goaltending, but they've got the best. Evan Bouchard, I think, takes a step forward this year and is a true top four defenseman. They've got a lot going for them. Number 3, I have the LA Kings.
Okay.
I really like this team. I think Anze Kopitar still has a lot in the tank, especially with some of the other guys. I mean, you've got the potential of Turcotte, Byfield. You've got Victor Arvidsson is on their top 6 wings. They've sneakily had a lot of young guys and like other guys filling in that have replenished their forward core. Their defense is still thriving on Drew Doughty, and I'd like to see more depth there, but like it is what it is. If Jonathan Quick, who had a massive resurgence last year, I know that he's old, he's like 36, but so's Fleury. And like, I think that if he can have a resurgence and Cal Peterson takes a step forward, I do not see a reason why this team could not make the playoffs in a year like this. Fourth position, I've got the Vancouver Canucks for all the reasons that everyone has already touched on, so I'm not even going to get into it. And then 5th, I've got the Anaheim Ducks. So I think Vegas misses the playoffs. I don't think I don't even know if Mark Stone is going to be able to play this year. I think he's still injured. And it's weird because I had like Eichel potentially getting that, like my dark horse for the Hart Trophy again. I just couldn't do it. I don't think that their team as a whole, even if the pieces are there, they don't seem fluid as a team. They haven't had time to build consistent team chemistry over the years. They're off my list. And
I don't
Robin
hate it.
Lehner out is killing them.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I mean, it was tough to put the Knights on my list. I just think the Kings are maybe a year away. I just want to see a little bit more of their defense, but they could shock me because I mean they got
The
good,
defense is the big one for me, is the question mark.
but they got really good two-way forwards with Dano, Kopitar.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about Philippe Deneau. Yeah, he's
Danault-
basically a
Danault,
defenseman who scores.
Yeah, Dano, Kopitar, and Arvidsson plays a little bit of a two-way.
Oh
game.
yeah. A
So,
Byfield plays a two-way game. Turcotte plays a two-way game.
So yeah, I mean they could squeak in. So I don't hate it at all, Tim. I don't hate it at all. But
Now,
that means the
before we
Stanley Cup?
get into before we get into the next, I do have to ask, and maybe this isn't the right time for that. What's your Stanley Cup final prediction? Who's playing in the Stanley Cup final and who's getting the cup? We talked about the playoffs.
All right, I'll go. I got it right here.
Awesome, let's do it.
I think the Avs make it back to the cup. I think it's too hard to really go against that. I think they are by far and away the best team in the Western Conference. I think the Oilers and Flames are in their own tier, but the Avs are in their separate elite tier. I think the Oilers and Flames are great. The Avs are elite. I got the Avs playing the Panthers. I think the Florida Panthers, yes, they lost Huberdeau. Yes, they lost Uyghur. I think Matthew Tkachuk is a whole different animal. I think he really addresses a bunch of needs for that team. They weren't really physical. They were a skilled team that really kind of just outskilled everybody. I think this physical presence, as well as Matthew Tkachuk being a skilled and just he could lay the body. He's a unicorn when it comes to the NHL. And then I got the Panthers being 7 games.
Panthers.
See,
and
You're just
7.
you're picking the winners of the cup. Wow.
You lagged on
okay.
me a little. Panthers and 7.
Panthers and 7.
Okay, copy that.
I just looked through my picks and I got mine.
All right.
I think Colorado, like Nick, repeats. Team is strong. So you got the heart of the Rockies versus the Big Apple. I think the New York Rangers make the cup final, especially if they acquire a certain Patrick Kane. And if we're picking winners, God, that's hard. You know what? I don't like the Avalanche. I'm a Red Wings fan. New York Rangers in 6.
I love it.
And Patrick Kane goes back there and he wins a cup in his first year of being traded. I love it.
Yeah, I'm
The
on
Matthew
board for
Stafford
that.
special. The Matthew
Easy.
Stafford special.
I
for
can
it,
go
Tim.
Jordan or
Go for it, Tim.
all right. I have Calgary.
Okay.
I think Colorado, again, they're the same team pretty much. However, their goaltending. Georgiev is their number 1 goaltender. And then Pavel Francois is their backup. That's not good. I mean, Georgiev could be a starter. He might dazzle everyone this year. But if you can get past the forwards, and if you can be on the ice when Makar and man, they've got deep. But if you can get in there, if you can break those defenses and get in, the goalie is not going to be the one to save the day. So I think that and it's hard to repeat. So I think Colorado gets bested. I think Calgary's in the West, and I got to go with the Rangers in the East. And I think if
Is the cup going to Canada, Tim?
no, not at all. I think if Calgary meets the Rangers, it's Rangers in 6. I think Calgary, I think it's going to be a goaltending duel. I think that it's going to be a physical game. I'm very excited about it. Definitely say Rangers in 6.
I like it. I like it. So we got two members of the squad saying Rangers. All right.
All right. So I think Edmonton's going to the finals this year. Seems like they keep it's all right. So let me justify why I made this pick,
please.
okay?
No. Go ahead.
Every time Edmonton has made the playoffs, they've taken a step forward, right? So the first time they made it, they were a bubble team. The year after that, they finally won a playoff round. Last year, they made it to the conference finals against the the Colorado Avalanche. I think this might finally be the year that they push through McDavid and Draisaitl. We know are going to be awesome, but I think they'll be a lot better with more consistent goaltending. And like you guys said, I think Evan Bouchard might take that next step forward to be the real help that Darnell Nurse needs for that squad. So, like, I know it's bold, but I think they
I
might
love it. That's
finally
what we're
do
here
it.
for.
Yeah.
From the East though,
Don't say Toronto.
I'm so nervous.
I think it might actually be this. Like, this might be the year they finally crack through. It's make or break for that group. And what has Matthews got left? He's got 2 years left after this.
I think
Yeah.
Are
he's
you
got-
saying the Cup's going to Canada?
I was gonna
I-
say this is a nightmare scenario.
I think it's going to Canada, but I think Edmonton's winning just because they actually can play defense that the Maple Leafs
Whoa.
can't.
So
Holy
McDavid gets his cup.
crap.
Yeah, I think McDavid wins this year.
Holy hell.
Why does that feel like the boldest prediction of all time? Like it should not be. It's the world's best player. Like
I hate it. I hate it.
I
Like-
love it. This is chaos.
That, and I would love to see the Leafs fans salt on Reddit and Facebook when they lose in the Cup Finals.
Oh no, I do love that, but to a Canadian team.
Like,
Intriguing.
if there's a Canadian team that's going to get it, though, I want it to be Edmonton, because I don't want Toronto getting it because it's Toronto, and Montreal is not good enough to make it this year.
No, I don't think
so.
Montreal made like I looked at their defense and I cried a little. And their goaltending just I can't in good conscience put them above anyone else.
But no, I feel like Edmonton is the team that brings the Cup back to Canada.
Wow.
This is huge.
I know it's a bunch of crazy predictions, but I don't know. I just have this feeling about Edmonton this year.
I
Well,
love it.
The only guarantee we have is that the Rangers aren't going to win because I've got them going.
Yeah, they're gonna
We
get
just
Bedard now.
cursed their entire season.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so sorry ahead of time.
They got
Uh,
Lafreniere, and then they're gonna get Bedard.
Cool.
And
But who do
Patrick.
you
Kane.
got, Tim?
Huh?
Tim picked already.
Oh yeah, you did pick already.
Yeah.
We all picked.
I'm Rangers.
Wow.
Rangers beat Calgary.
Yeah,
We're on to
we all
the
picked.
awards. We're on to the awards.
So yeah, we'll be on to the last part of the segment for the show.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, every year the NHL hands out awards to spectacular players across the league for all sorts of different reasons. They include the Art Ross, the Norris Trophy, the Rocket Richard, the Vezina, the Calder Trophy. Nick, you were already talking about you had your list. You want to go through your list of like who you expect to win what awards?
Yeah. So I'll go through real quick. I'll say my heart prediction for last. For the Art Ross, most points. It's got to be Austin Matthews, and he's just gonna light it up. He's amazing. I think another 60 goal season on the
Wow.
way. I think Matthews is going to just continue to be a stud, and he's probably going to be the highest paid player in the NHL when his contract ends with the Leafs. And I think Matthews is going to really pop off this year. I think I'm going to say 125 points.
Wow.
I'm going to say 125 points. I think it's really, I mean, 60 goals, and it's a lot. It's a stretch, but I think Matthews really pops off. For my Norris Trophy winner, it's kind of hard to go against him. Cal McCarr. I think he is, without a doubt, the best defenseman in the league. Roman Yossi's a close second. Sider's getting up there. But I think Cal McCarr takes it this year. For my Vezina, I like Juicy Saros. I think he brings the Preds to the playoffs. I think he is part of the big reason why the Preds make the playoffs. I think he is a top 3 goalie in the league, and this season he's going to be number 1. I think he outplays Shesterkin. I think he outplays Vasilevsky, and he's going to win the Vezina. I hinted at it earlier. Mason McTavish on the Ducks. He's a big physical presence. He's a power forward, which the Ducks kind of need. He's going to get in front of the net, put away some dirty goals, some juicy rebounds. And Zegers is going to set him up beautifully when he's just crashing the net. So give me Mason McTavish as my Calder. My Hart Trophy winner, the unicorn himself, Matthew Tkachuk. I think Tkachuk
Wow.
I think Chuck has a season like last year, like Huberto does. Huberto was in discussion for the Hart Trophy, Hart Trophy last year. I think Chuck still puts up 90 to 100 points with this team. And I think he just plays a better two-way game than Huberto does. And I think that, and especially with his name just being all over the news, I think the Hockey Writers Association is going to consider that a lot. So I'd give me Matthew Tkachuk winning the Hart Trophy winner.
No, what's your rocket?
Oh,
Which I
Rocket
think I
Richard-
know already.
Rocket Richard, Austin Matthews.
Okay. Any prediction for Selkie?
Selkie, no, I really just put the big five.
That's fair. That's
if I-
fair.
If I had to throw it out there, Philip Deneau.
That's very fair.
Should we just stick to the 5?
Yeah, we'll just.
Whatever
stick
you
to
guys
the
have. Whatever you guys have.
Yeah, I'll just fire it. Yeah, go ahead.
Tim, you go.
Sure. All right. Art Ross, right off the bat, it's gonna be a little different. I've got McDavid. I know seems like it's always McDavid these days. That said, he's in a position where they're gonna be playing him 25. He's playing defenseman minutes every night as a forward. Like he's in every situation. To me, Matthews is enough people to spread around that he doesn't always have to be on the ice. Whereas McDavid, he's just going to have more time to do it. So I've got McDavid, my Norris. I've got Roman Yossi. I think that the league can be hesitant to double up at times. And I think that the fact that Colorado is such a stacked team with like Devon Tays, Samuel Girard, like there's a bunch of good guys there that Makar can shine, but he doesn't have to shoulder a lot of burden. I think Roman Yossi on a less good team is going to put up comparable numbers to Makar. And I think if it's comparable, they'll give it to Yossi this year simply because you don't want to just keep doubling up. Vezina, I got to go Shesterkin. I really think that he's going to take another step forward. And just with the caliber of team that the Rangers have, I think if everyone takes a step forward, he's going to get to shine even more. Calder, I got Shane Wright, baby. I've got him lighting up and like blazing a trail in Seattle. And it's going to be the first like big excitement that Seattle has. It's going to call attention. He's going to be exciting for the league. I think that it's going to be, Shane Wright this year.
So he outshines Matty Beniers?
I think he's going to, I think he will.
Okay.
Real,
No, I'm just digging a little deeper for the show.
No, that's an excellent.
I agree.
I love it. That's an excellent question. Actually, I think that Matty Beniers is going to be great. I think that Shane Wright has that chip on his shoulder and he plays a little, I don't know. I think he's a little meaner than Matty Beniers. And I think that that's going to carry him a little bit further night in and night out than where Matty Beniers is. Selkie, I had Alexander Barkov. Rocket Richard, I had Matthews. And I think partly for me, it's because the Art Ross is for McDavid. The Rocket is for Matthews. I think that's an obvious. Matthews is gonna get the Rocket, but McDavid's gonna have an all around more points. My heart, I think it's Panarin this year. I think that Panarin sees this is the opportunity. He takes this team. There's a lot of talent on this team, but he raises his level because everyone else is raising their level. So he's naturally got to go a level up. I think that he's going to put this team and drive them through. He's going to be the guy that kicks in on nights when they need that extra hit, sort of a Patrick Kane situation the year he won the Hart. I think that Panarin is the Hart Trophy winner for me.
I'm glad I drafted him in our league,
I will never forgive you.
You took what I wanted.
Well, he's mine now.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Go ahead. Who's next?
I'll go ahead and go.
Jordan?
Art Ross and the Hart they're both going to McDavid in my opinion. Just like you said, he plays defenseman minutes as a forward, and he's always putting up the points. The Norris Trophy. I mean,
It's a tough one.
Yossi. I think Yossi will get it this year.
Uh.
Like Makar had his time in the sun, which is fine. He deserves his time in the sun, but I think he might step it up this season and just take it this year. The Rocket Richard Matthews has shown that he's an elite goal scorer like Alex Ovechkin is at this point, and he's pretty much driving the offense that is the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Vezina, Igor Shesterkin looked great last year. There's no reason to think he doesn't look great this year. And New York didn't really get weaker, so there's no reason to not expect him to be just as good. The Selke, Elias Lindholm, I think this might be his year to actually take it. Calder, I'm going to go a little bit off the wall here, though. Alexander Holtz, I think, wins it this year. I remember watching him when he was playing with the United States, what was it, their U18 team. And the two players that struck out to me watching that group were Trevor Zegras and Alexander Holtz. Those were like the two players who I looked at both of them and said, those guys will be NHLers one day.
He should be a Blackhawk. Should traded to rank it to the Devils.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's
But no, I like to pick the whole. I like Holtz.
No,
like
I
Holtz.
dig it.
David, who are you
over
going?
here. Hart, Dylan Larkin.
Norris, Cider, Vesna,
All right,
Huso.
All right, here I go. And there's gonna be two crazy wild card picks mixed in here.
I love it.
I mean, Selke, I'm gonna go Barkov. I think he's great. Hi, kitty cat. Okay. Vesna, I'm gonna go Shesterkin. I think one of the big reasons why the Rangers did so well last year and why they're going to do so well this year is because he is going to be the man between those pipes to get them where they need to go. Art Ross, I'm going to go Connor McDavid. I mean, the guy plays a lot of minutes, puts up a lot of points. I think he's going to, I don't think he'll hit the 120s like Nick thinks he will, but I think he'll be pretty high.
Oh, I got Matthews hitting the 120s.
Oh, I thought you had.
Mm.
Austin Matthews is going to be my Rocket Richard. Dude can score. He's going to be banking him in. Hart, I'm going to give to.
I'm going to be so mad.
I'm going to get to McDavid. Dude is going to put that team on his back. I mean, he's got Draisaitl with him, but he plays like you guys have been saying, like 25 minutes a game. Like that's a Hart Trophy winner right there. A guy that is out there all the time. Norris. I'm taking that bold prediction and I'm just throwing a frickin' Carolina Reaper pepper in it. I think Moritz Seider just shocks the world and goes from Calder winner to Norris Trophy winner. Dude is hot. Like, yeah. Mo Seider, mo problems. You know, that's what I've been saying. And I'm gonna just throw another crazy one in here. Just get ready for this one. Calder Trophy winner, you know.
Oh, don't say Shaw.
No.
Who?
What?
Who'd
Go
you say
ahead.
I was gonna say?
Go ahead.
Guys, I'm blooming right now. It's springtime and I'm blooming for Elmer Soderblom.
Oh,
I think he's gonna shock some people. Like it was shocking that he made the team. He is a 6'8" forward with skillful hands, and he's gonna be hard to stop. Like he's not gonna score like 50-something goals, but he's gonna be a threat to a lot of teams. Just like, how are you gonna slow this big body down? And I think he's gonna skate his way with his silky hands to a Calder Trophy. I'm a Red Wings homer. I'll say it, but I think he's gonna shock a lot of people this year. I think him more than Seider winning it. Like Seider's my big crazy prediction. Because, like, yeah, we've got Kel McCarr, we've got Adam Fox.
But realistically, like he's in at least unless he takes a serious sophomore slump, he's
gonna be talked about. Like he was being talked about last year as a Calder Trophy. They're like
yeah.
Moritz Seider could be a step away from a Norris Trophy winner if the Red Wings play better. And I think this year we play better, and I think he gets more of a look for it.
I mean, I think him being a finalist isn't out of the question.
No, again, it's anybody's game.
Hmm.
There's like 4 or 5 defensemen that I see realistically in contention. So it could, again, depending on how everybody plays, depending on how teams play. Yeah. If the Nashville Predators fall apart and Yossi's just not in a good position to be playing that game, why not potentially have a
Mhm.
Moritz Seider if everyone's trending the right way? Soderblom, I just don't know if he's gonna get the minutes to be a called. Like, I feel like Calder winners, fairly or unfairly, are in top 6 minutes, and you're getting a chance to see them a lot on the ice, and you're seeing that
Mhm.
consistency. Uh, if he's on the third line all year, I just don't know. But I love it. Swing for it, man. That's exciting.
I think he's gonna shock a lot of people.
I hope he does. It's good for the league.
I think that's everything I have on the docket for tonight's show. It's been a bit of a long one, but it's also the
It's a big
night
one.
preseason
before.
one. It's a season preview.
The night before the season, and not a sound in the house besides people getting their jerseys ready for a hockey season
And
to
John
remember.
Tortorella yelling at the moon.
Before we end up wrapping the show, is there anything anybody else wants to talk about?
I'm going to
No.
the oh, go ahead.
Oh, no. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
I was just gonna say I'm going to the Chicago Wolves home opener on Saturday, their banner raising ceremony. So that's gonna be fun. It's good to see live hockey again.
That's-
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. No, I mean, the one situation, NHL news,
Oh.
I'm not touching it. I'm not touching on everything. Everybody knows we're hinting at. Don't
Mhm.
want to get involved in it. I think let it all come out first and let the real details surface, and then maybe we can touch it.
We're not
Yeah.
equipped.
No.
Realistically, we're just not equipped to handle the
Yeah.
nuances of that. I will say, as a hockey fan, and again, Nick, you and I especially went through it last year, but as a hockey fan, I am constantly forced to reconcile my love of the sport with some of the very serious culture issues. And the one thing I will say on just not even one specific topic, but the topic, because there's enough topics to talk about, unfortunately, as hockey fans and as a hockey community, the one thing that is filling me with hope is the sheer amount of people within the community that want to see change, that want to be a part of creating a better culture from the ground up, and being a part of being able to actually say hockey is for everyone, and that we're the community that we've sort of always tried to market ourselves to be. And
Mhm.
maybe that hid some things, but it's hard. It's really hard to reconcile sometimes.
Yep.
So that's that.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, we got to be better as a the
Oh,
hockey
God,
community. The hockey community in general has to be better as a whole.
World needs to be better. Let's be honest.
Yeah. It's just that's life. We got shitty people out there, and we got good people out there. It's just be a good person, not a shitty one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's everything I have on our docket for tonight. So I'll go ahead and wrap up the show. For anybody who is still tuning in or watching and listening, we appreciate you guys checking out the show. At the end of the day, this show is by fans for fans. There's no corporate sponsorship or anything like that, so we can say we might have all the hot takes. It's a fun way to have the show be. If you liked what you heard, feel free to check us out on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. We're all over the place. Feel free to check us out. But that's gonna be it for our show tonight. As always, feel free to give us any sort of feedback, criticism, stuff like that. Anything that you think will help us improve the show, because at the end of the day, the show is for you guys as well as us. But yeah, that's it for our show. We appreciate you guys checking out. In the meantime, you guys stay safe, take care of each other, take care of yourselves. Hockey season is back, everybody. Let's
Tomorrow
enjoy
night
it.
we'll be watching regular season hockey. Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night we'll be watching regular season hockey. You guys all enjoy it, because I know we're about to. We'll catch you guys later.
Go Hawks, I guess.
I'm blooming for Soderblom, baby.
Go hockey.